Thank you, Derek. Good evening, everyone. So we are beginning our session from today officially. Um, we are starting with basic Python, and today we are going to go through some exercises, some notes on Kaggle. Yeah, we are going to learn with Kaggle. So if you don't have your account ready, it's just a 1 minute job. Just head over to kaggle.com. About to share my screen. Um, so just head over to, please, I hope you can see my screen. Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
your screen.
So
Yes,
just
you can also.
go to kaggle.com and then just create a new account. If you have a Google account, just register with your Google account and then you are just straight in. So you just fill in with your Google account details and you'll be logged into Kaggle. So I believe we are there. So we are beginning our session officially. So we go to the learn section here. So this is how we are going to do it. We'll be taking our lessons on Kaggle, and then when we are given exercises, we use the Jupyter notebooks from Anaconda Navigator, and that will help us learn or work offline. For Kaggle, you need to be on the internet. So we are using this for the sessions, but then with the exercises, you are going to be doing that you are going to be practicing in Jupyter notebooks or Jupyter labs. Okay. So we are starting from Python. This introduction to programming, you can do that on your own. It's pretty basic. We are starting from Python. So we start from Hello Python today, and let's see how far we can go. Okay. So Hello Python today, and so first of all, let's begin with Python and how Python works like. So Python is an interpreted language, which means that Python is not compiled like how C++, Java, and the rest are compiled before they are executed. Python is interpreted on the run. So you don't need to compile it before you can use it. Please, you get me.
Yes, sir.
It's
We get
yes,
you.
it executes asynchronously. So that's why and the reason thing is that Python is not on top of C and it is also very fun. So know that we should be Python. I don't know what people do. So this course covers the key Python techniques so we can start using Python to do design. Because I do this about experience, you want to have Python to your repertoire. If you are first time to learn, first to back to introduction to programming. If I've never written anything,
Sir, please. Hello, sir. Please, your mic. We can't really hear you very well.
you can't hear me.
Babe, off my watch.
Okay, there's some echoing in the background.
The echo is telling. Hello.
Yes, hello,
The
sir.
echo is still in.
Yes, it's better now. It's better now.
Okay. Okay. So if you have never written anything concerning programming, any code before, then as I said, I suggest you go back to the first lesson, that is Introduction to Programming. So it's pretty basic over here. We are going to cover the same topics over here. Okay. So let's just start. We are just 45 minutes late. So variables. So okay, let's do this. So let's start from printing, right? So to display a message to your console, your Python console, we use the print function. So this function just takes a string. So whatever you pass in here is a string or is converted to string on a fly, and then it is printed to the screen. So I think we should fire up Anaconda. There's this thing. Uh, so if you put the statement hello world inside this print and you run it, you are going to get this statement without the exclamation marks. So basically, we use print to output strings. In Python, we ask a computer to print a message for us by writing print and then outputting and then putting the message inside parentheses and enclosed in quotation marks. Below, we ask the computer to print the message hello world. So I'm just going to use Jupyter Lab over here. If you have VS Code, you can also use that. Okay, so that is print. You are going to be needing this most of the time. And then we go to, so let me demonstrate. So why are you showing all this first? So this is the hello world. Basically, anything you put in here is um, going to be. So we have this. If I click on this run here, it's just going to print whatever I typed inside the double quotation marks. Okay. So I've been mentioning strings. What we mean by strings is any form of data which can include numbers, letters, characters, symbols. These are all strings. So basically, when we see strings, we mean text or textual data. We have other types of data, that is integers, floats, booleans, and other types. But then one special thing about Python is that you don't need to specify a data type. In C++ or this typed languages, we are going to do something like int. Let's say age is equal to 30. And then you come to the next line and say print age. Sorry. And when you run this, you are supposed to get the value of age printed in your console. But Python automatically infers the data type. So if we say age is equal to 30, it automatically knows that age is a number. So it just converted to an integer on the fly so that you won't have to specify the data type as int. So just say age is equal to 30. This means this age is the name of the variable and this is the value. The equal sign is called an assignment operator. So we have the assignment, we have the value, and then we have the name of the variable. So variables. So we say age is equal to 30. Now I've taken the int away, right? So if I run this code block again, you can see that it prints the value of 30. So that is one use of the print command. Now getting back to arithmetics, we can basically perform any type of mathematical operation in Python. So we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So let's do this. If you say print 1 plus 2, we all know 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So we just output 3. If you are doing 9 minus 5, we get what? 4. So that's subtraction. We use asterisk for multiplication. So basically, if you look at this table, we use the plus sign just like how we write plus in maths. The subtraction, that's the minus sign. And we use asterisk, that's the star sign for multiplication. So if I do 9 star 5, we are going to get 5 9. That's 5. Which just returns just the whole number part of the division. Now 9 divided by 5 is 1.8. But then using the forward slash takes away the remainder and then it returns the whole number. Let's go to exponent. So 2 raised to the power 3. You use double star to denote 2 raised to the power 3. For now. So let's look at something here. So we have 1 plus 3 times 9 minus 2 divided by 2 times, raised to the power 2. So 9, close this, okay. Now, if you look at this well, we have, in programming, we have something called order of precedence. That means some mathematical symbols take higher precedence over others, or they have more power over others. We call it in mass board mass, right? Board mass. So in here in programming, the order of precedence is multiplication, multiplication, and division take the same order of precedence, and then okay, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction also take the same order of preference. That means if at any point in your code you see plus and then multiplication, just know that you're going to do the multiplication side first before you do the addition or subtraction side. But then the highest form of precedence is the bracket. Okay. So first of all, what you are going to do is this start from here. Let's forget about the print for now. So I'm going to take away the print. Let me just delete it for now. This is one part, one logical part of this math. This is another logical part, and then this is another part, right? And they are all in brackets. That means you are going to, and we have the square outside the bracket. It means that we are going to perform all these functions before we apply the square to it. It's basic mathematics. So how we evaluate this is we add 1 to 3 here, starting from the left, which will give us 4. So we have 4 and times, let me just do times like this. 9 minus 2, which is what? 7 divided by 2. Let's keep this one outside for now. Now, since multiplication and division has the same order of preference, which means that if we do 7 divided by 2 multiplied by 4, you are going to get the same answer as 7 multiplied by 4 divided by 2. Let's see. So where is it? Where is this now? So 7 divided by 2 is 3.5 times 4 gives us 14. So we have 14 for this. And then if you go 4 multiplied by 7, 4 times 7, 28 divided by 2, it also gives us the same 14. So this can be evaluated in any order. These two, since multiplication and division have the same order of preference. There's a term for it in mathematics. I don't know if it is commutative or associative or whatever. That thing, I don't really get that. Okay, so that's the order of preference. We are just sticking to these two for now. Now, after this, we have what 14 for this operation, those inside this bracket. And then we go ahead to square 14. So basically, we are doing 14 raised to the power 2. Coming back to our calculator, 14, where's the raised to the power? Raised to the power 2 gives us 196. So basically, this is the order in which mathematical operations are evaluated in Python and most programming languages. Okay, please, any questions so far?
Yes, hello, sir.
Yeah,
So basically, it means that the order of precedence is just board mass.
basically, yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Please, I'll urge all the
Okay,
participants to also ask questions as we go on. This is an interactive session, so kindly ask your questions. Don't leave here with questions unanswered.
okay, so if there are no questions, I hope I can proceed.
Hello, sir. I think we should move on because nobody.
Okay, so in Python, I think they call it paired mass, right? So let's see, what does it mean? The board mass, they call it paired mass. That's the order of operations. So paired mass operations is meant to what to do. So basically, this is an evaluation of sorry, this is a demonstration of what we just did. Paired mass, parenthesis first. Parenthesis is the bracket. So yeah, exponent. So exponent comes, and then that means you have to evaluate everything inside the bracket before you add the exponent to it. And then, as we said, multiplication and division from left to right have the same order of preference. And then addition and subtraction also have the same order of preference. So basically, that's paired mass or board mass or all these. So when I run, I get 196 as the answer. Now, as you saw in this code here, you could see I typed print welcome to Python, and it's got but then even though they are not inside print, we don't expect them to be printed to the screen. They are preceded by this pound or hash symbol here. And what this means is that whenever Python interpreter meets anything beginning with a hash or a pound, it should ignore it. So this is basically not part of the code or whatever we are doing. This is a comment. They are ignored by interpreter. So they are just ignored. You can write thousands of these, but then they are not evaluated or they are not part of the code that gets to the processor. Instead, we use this to give comments or write notes, write documentation about the code we have written. So everything with a pound or a hash preceding it is a variable. As you can see, I'm using this to explain what I just did over here. So, sorry, they are comments. So comments are ignored by the processor. Okay, so we move ahead to multiplication. We are just going to jump over this. Now, to demonstrate um, variables, if I see something like this without the hash or the pound symbol and I run the code, you see we get this error, invalid, meaning this is not recognized, right? This is not a variable, this is not a method or a function. It doesn't understand this. But what we are trying to say is we want to give a comment. So basically to fix this, we use the hash or the pound sign in front of this. And then when we run our code, you see it is successfully ignored. So that is about comment. Variables, creating variables. So so far we've used code to make calculations, then. However, you can imagine that you might want to save the results to work with it later. For this, we use variables. Then let's go. So let's copy this and move it over, and then let's explain it from there. So variables, our computers have three basic parts to process data. The main one is the CPU, and then we have the RAM, and in between the CPU and the RAM, we have what we call the cache. Okay. Now between these two bridges, we have the registers and then the memory address. Please don't worry about what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say is that every variable you create has or takes a space in the RAM of your computer. So if you create a variable, test var, it creates a space or it takes a space in the RAM of your computer that that is going to be used later by the processor in processing whichever function or operation you are doing. I hope you've always thought about why, let's say, some games or some applications on your computer eat your RAM. Most your RAM usage is going to go high. So as you progress, you try to minimize using the usage of variables, and then we find the best solutions to that. But then let's start from here. So if I create a variable called test var, this variable here, this is the name of the variable, and this is the assignment operator. This simply means that test var is equal to 4 plus 5. We all know 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. So what happens is that this is evaluated inside test var. So everywhere we see test var, the value is 9, or the value is the result of this operation. If you run this code, we get 9 over here because we are pointing test var. One point to note is rules in creating variables. I I will find a resource and impose on that. But then we cannot put a space inside this. So if you do something like test var is equal to, let's say, 9, this is completely wrong. Okay, this is completely wrong. We can't put a space inside this. So we use this underscore. We can't use this because automatically it recognizes it as subtraction. So if you run this, you still get an error. We can't use a dash or hyphen. Yeah. We cannot also begin a variable with a number. So if we do this, that is also wrong. We can't invalidate decimal iteration. We can't begin a variable with a number. But in between, we can put a number there. We can put a number at the end, and we will run. Oh, we will run, and then it will work perfectly. So we can't begin with a number. We can't put spaces in the name, but we can add um, capital letters, whichever case we want to make it nicer. Okay, and what else? So these are the basic rules. There are a lot more, but these are basic rules in creating a variable. The most important is don't put a space in it in the variable name. Don't put a dash or a hyphen in between the names, and then don't begin it with a number. You can put the number everywhere, but don't put it in front of the name. Okay, so we seeing that we can go ahead and say that since we've stored the value of 4 plus 5 inside test var, we can go ahead and do something like um, test var divided by 4, which means that here we are not going to repeat typing 4 plus 5 again because we've stored the value here into this variable. So when we run this, we know 9 divided by, let me just use 3. 9 divided by 3. So we get 3.0. Fun fact, if you do any direct division operation in Python, the result is a double, that is a decimal. If you do multiplication, you get the whole number without a decimal. But if you do division, you get a decimal. Okay, so let's take note of that. So that is variables. This is the name of the variable, the assignment operator. This means that we are assigning or we are putting the value here into this one. We can go ahead and even assign a variable to itself, sorry, like this. Oh, so this simply means that we have the test variable, but then we are having the same, or we are taking the value of that test variable, and then we are adding 3 to it. Over here, we have the test variable to be 9. So this code simply means that we are still using the test variable name, but then what we are going to do is we are going to add 3 to the value that is already in the test variable, and then we are going to print that. So let me take this one out. Now when you print this, you see we get 12. So basically there's a 9 here plus this 3. So now the value of this test variable has become 12 instead of the previous 9. Test var plus equals, can I do this? I'm not even sure. Okay, so this is a shorthand way to achieve the same thing. So this plus equal means that No, let me do this and comment this one out. So this test var plus equal means that test var plus test var, sorry, test var plus 3 is equal to test var. So what we are going to get is the same as the operation over here. I'm not really going to stress about this. Let's just run away already. So that's about creating variables and then storing values in variables. And over here, we have some basic rules regarding how to create variables. You can have spaces in there. You can have you can have other symbols there, like exclamation and the rest. You can only have letters, numbers, and then underscores. And then you do not begin with a number. It's not allowed. Okay. So this is variables. Just going to go through this again. So here we create a new variable called my var and assign the value 3 to it. When we print my var, we get 3. Now, when we come down here and then assign a new value, which we call reassignment, it simply means that we are changing the value of my var over here to this new value. That means this gets replaced to 100. If I comment this line out, you can see that this only prints the last value that was assigned to the variable, the last value. So that is a variable reassignment. Am I going you to? Okay. So that is for variables. We have already done this, and then we can do a little bit of confusing mathematics over here. So let's come over here and do this. So we are creating variables. Now the first variable here is number of years. That's num underscore years is equal to 4. Days per year is equal to 365. Hours per day is 24. Minutes per hour is 60. Seconds per minute is 60. So if we are going to calculate the number of seconds in 4 years, that means that we create a new variable called total seconds, right? The total seconds is equal to seconds per minute. Now, 60 seconds make 1 minute. So 1 minute times how many minutes per hour? 60 minutes make 1 hour. And then how many hours make up a day? 24 hours make up a day, which we have here. And then how many days make up a year? That's 365. And now this is going to give us the number of seconds in a year. Now we are looking at 4 years. So that's number of years. That means you multiply the whole thing by 4, or the number of years variables. And this is going to give us, when we print total seconds, it's going to give us the total number of seconds that make up 4 years. We could look at another example, like any basic mathematical example. But okay, let's just skip that before I confuse you. So note, it is possible to do this calculation without variables as just 60 times 60 times 24 times 365 times 40. But it is much harder to check that the calculation without variables does not have some error, because it is not as readable. So using variables make you keep in check with what you are doing. You know that this value means this value this variable has this value, this variable has this value. So you have a clear understanding of what you are doing. uh, let's jump ahead to so leap years. I'm going to skip this. We are going to go to debugging. This is the most crucial part of programming. Whenever you are coding, obviously you are going to encounter errors. And let's just do this. or let me just do total years and then print total years. Now, as you can see, I have an error here. The most important thing, or the most important thing is the error definition or the exception that is given to you. So when you look over here, it says that cell, whatever, in line 61, so yeah, sorry, in cell 61, line 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is line 7. That's where the error is. And the type of error is a name error. Simply means that we have not already defined total variables. Sorry, total years. So we can't call it here. If we do this, we have not done anything. Okay, just like saying age. What is the value of age? What are we doing with age? So we need to know the value before we can work with it. So in some programming languages, it is given an initial value of 0 if you create a numeric variable. And if it is a string, it is just an empty quote, double quote like this, an empty string. But Python, as we say, it automatically infers the type based on the value we've supplied. So if we put a number here, it knows that this is an integer. If you put a string here, a double quotation here, and say Python, it knows that this is a string, okay, without we explicitly saying string or integer or float or whichever data type there is. If I am to fire up, let me check VS Code. No. So let me close this and then forget about what I have in here. I'm just creating a new file here to demonstrate this. So let me just copy these 2 lines and then paste it here. We are just looking at IntelliSense to get better understanding. So in here, when you look at this, we have a variable literal. You see variable and it has a value of 60. And then we have this as Python. I'm not sure I'm getting the value, but I came here to get. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. So let's just go back. So initially, it was going to highlight it as a string or an integer or a float or boolean. But let's just forget. Let's just proceed. So this error simply means that total years has not been defined or it has not been assigned a value anywhere in our code. That means we can't work with it. Our time is already up. So now if I assign a value of Python to it, you see it prints Python, which is a string as a total years. And if I assign, even if I put 30 inside here, the 30 is a string. It is not a number. It prints 30, all right, but it's a string. It's not a number. If I am to do total years plus 2, this is going to give us an error, which says type error. That is the data type. We can only concatenate string and not integers to string. So we can only concatenate string to string. Concatenate simply means that we are joining a string to another string. Let's say if I have the value of Monday and I have another variable, say var2, and I say, sorry, I say Tuesday, what this means is that it is joining Monday and Tuesday. So the plus sign here doesn't work as addition, but it works as a join. It is joining the value of these two together. Okay. But if the values here are numeric, then it performs a mathematical operation on them. So if we have something like num years plus 2, this performs 4 plus 2, which is 6. Or we have num years plus hours per day is going to perform a mathematical operation. But if you have a string and then a number, we can't add a string to a number. So it is going to give us this type error. But we can do a multiplication with this. Oh, we can do multiplication. We can do multiplication with this. Where's myself? And when we do multiplication, it just multiplies the string by the number. So we get Monday printed 24 times. That's hours per day. That's 24. So if I change this to num years, we get Monday 4 times. That is, we are multiplying 4. Sorry, we are multiplying Monday 4 times. But we can't divide. We can't divide. It's not possible. So we say unsupported operand for type um, division, sorry, for operation division. So we can't divide a string by an integer. It is not possible. We can't divide uh, a divided by 7. It's not possible unless we have a numeric value assigned to a. So this is the basic debugging or troubleshooting. Is it even troubleshooting? This is basic debugging or trying to find bugs or code mistakes and then fixing them. So our time is almost up. So I'll pause here and ask for questions if there's anything I didn't make clear. And then we will try the next thing. I'll really have to speed up with that. Any questions, please? Yeah, John,
Yes, please. Good evening.
good evening.
Please, hello.
Yeah,
Please, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, please. I wanted to find out at the beginning, some of us were lost. We couldn't get it right. I think the network wasn't good for some of us here. So I don't know. Maybe if the session is recorded and then it can be made available for us to get what happened at the beginning.
Yeah, the session is recorded. The session is recorded, so you have access to the recording later.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm not actually going to go through the second chapter because we are only having 5 minutes left. But instead, I am going to give this as an assignment. So we are going to go back to this what we just did. I'm going to go back again. So intro to programming. So I'm going to leave this to you to go and complete this 5 modules, these 5 lessons. After every module, you are going to take the exercise. So complete this before our next session, because we are not going to go over any of this again. You go from here and we are going to do far more advanced stuff. So this 5 tutorials are our assignment for today. We'll meet again on Friday and then we'll take that. But then let's go through this exercise and then see how you are going to work like. So after taking a lesson, a tutorial lesson, what we do is that at the end, there is an exercise. So just like this, if you scroll all the way to the end, you can see there's a start exercise here. That's, it assumes you are done reading the whole thing on this page. So when you click on start exercise, it takes you to this notebook page, right? So the first thing you do is see draft session, whatever. You click on this, you should see this start session there, or this button, this power button. So you click on it and then you see start session. If I'm to zoom out, you're going to see it like this. Now let me go through this quickly with you. This notebook is running on a cloud. This simply means there's a computer on the internet, or there's a virtual computer on the internet where this data is stored, and you are going to run your exercises and then your code on that computer. If you look closely over here, you can see HDD, that is hard disk space. You can see CPU, and then you can see RAM. This is not your computer's RAM or your computer's hard disk. This is the hard disk, the RAM, the CPU that has been assigned to you on the cloud, on the internet. That is where you are going to work. So even if your computer is very slow, like 2 gig RAM or 4 gig RAM, you can still just open your browser and learn here, because you are given a very high amount of RAM. You have maximum 57 gigabyte hard disk, and then you are given a maximum of 30 gig RAM. I'm not sure your laptop has this RAM. So you have this specifications to work with. So I will suggest that you do most of your work on Kaggle notebooks. So this is your RAM. This is currently what we are using. This is our CPU usage. And this is the total hard disk space. So basically, if you click on stop session, it simply means that you are turning off that computer. Okay. So that is that. But before we get started, you first have to click on this, run this. This sets up to your environment for you to run the exercises. So once you run this code by clicking on this button here, you get setup complete. If you get an error, if you come here, click on this, you are supposed to get hello world printed, or fail to save. So you see the output here, hello world. This K1.check is what checks whether your answer is correct. So if I am to make any change to this and I run the code, hello world, we are not doing the right thing over here, right? So let's go ahead. And here we are requested to do print your message here. So we run the code and then it is printed over here. Okay, so the check is only checking for your answer. Okay, the next thing we do, it's basically ignoring the strings, but then here it works. Okay, so here we say we learned about comment. So what we do is do not change the final line of you run this code, and this prints the hint, the solution, and then this checks for the answer, right? So this is how you are going to do your work on Kaggle notebooks, how you are going to work. The next one here is an exercise which we have already done. So if we do this and then we print, we get the value here. We go ahead and then we say, now if you look at this, define a variable. This is a real exercise. So define a variable called birth per month, which has been done for you, and then set it to 250. Define a variable called birth per day, and then set the value of birth per day to, so birth per day, that contains a average number of babies born each day. To set the value of this variable, you should use birth per minute and some of the variables from the previous cell. We know that 60 minutes make 1 hour, and then 24 hours make 1 day. So this is what we do. Birth per minute is 250, right? And then birth per day. So 140, sorry, 1,440 is the number of minutes in a day. Basically, where's my calculator? We have 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So times 24, which gives us this value. So 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So 1 hour times 24, which is equal to 1 day. So birth per day is equal to 144 minutes times the number of births in every minute. So when you run this code, you get the answer. So here the check is actually working. So we get the answer. If you have to make a change to this, it says incorrect. Okay. So this is how you do your exercises. If you get a wrong answer, you can comment the Q4 solution and then you look at the answer. So here's an explanation of what you're supposed to do. Okay. Now this is the final exercise. I just want to finish this exercise with you and then we are done for the day. So here, forget about everything that is happening here. Forget about that. We are importing a library. We are using that library to read the value, or sorry, the data inside a CSV file or an Excel file. And then we are using head. Head prints the first 5 lines till prints the last 5 lines. So we print the first 5 lines, and these are the first 5 lines inside the Excel. This is basically about the number of people who were in a Titanic ship that crashed and whichever statistics that's associated with this. Trust you, we are going to actually do a machine learning project on this later as you progress. So here we are going to define, I think I've already run it. So let me clear, and I clear hotspot. Okay, so the data, let me forget about that. The data has different rule for each passenger. So this is the passenger ID. So total here is the number of passengers who were on the Titanic. And then the survived is the number of passengers who survived the Titanic crash. And we have minus. The minus refer to the number of children or the number of passengers under the age of 18 that were on the Titanic. Right. Okay. Now we come to the code. They say run a cell without change. So the total here is, here we are printing the length of, this Titanic data. Okay. So when we print length, this LEN simply means the number of items in a particular list. It's basically a list. So the number of items in this list. So when we print this, we get a total. And then here, survived is equal to Titanic data dot survived is equal to 1.sum. So we are summing up all those who survived the Titanic crash. Survived is here, okay. The 0 means the person died. 1 means the person survived the Titanic. So basically, that's what this means. And then the number of minus is Titanic data dot age less than 18 dot sum. So this where is the age? So it looks through the age column and then checks for everyone whose age is less than 18 and then adds it up to the minus. When you run this code block, oh, so we are supposed to run this first to load or to set the variables so that we can come here to run it again. So when we run it, this prints the total value, sorry, the total number of people on the Titanic. This 342 is the number of people who survived, and then 113 is the number of children who were on the Titanic. This is additional exercise you have to do. I'm going to leave this one for you if you understand. Everyone who has this Kaggle account has this exercise. So go to your Kaggle account, go to learn. Just show me the sidebar. Go to learn, go to intro to programming, read through all of them, and then take each exercise at the end of each chapter. I would, oh no, not good, learn. I would like to end today's session here. And so intro to programming, take this and then do the exercises. We will continue from here on Friday. I am going to end here. If you have any questions, please ask them.
Yes, it's question section time. So kindly ask your questions. That's if we have any questions to ask. Yes, Quincy Ahama, I hope I got your name right. Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening. Yeah, please. I was trying to follow what you were doing in VS Code, but it seems my environment is not well set up. I don't know whether you can guide me now or later on it.
Say again.
Please, are you part of the GDSC group?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we shared a video earlier explaining how to set up Anaconda and Python. So if you were to set up that already and you were to set up your virtual environment, I'm going to share the link to that, a YouTube link to that, so that you can follow again. And it's pretty straightforward. If you do that, then you can use Python anywhere in any IDE, whether VS Code or PyCharm or wherever. You can do that and then use.
So once I do it on the device, that's it.
Yes, you just have to make sure Python or Conda has been added to your environment variables.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I am pasting the link to that in the messages session, so you can check that. It takes you to YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, C, or the name is not C.
See, Kwani.
See, you've had your hands raised. You can ask your question.
I think he kept the question in the chat. So maybe.
Yeah, so hello. So she said, please, I registered for the ML study job on Google, but I am not in the group you mentioned. May I get it? Okay, so the link will be made available Yeah. So the link will be shared. Once you get you see the link, you can kindly click and then join.
Please, any more questions? Please, if there's no more questions, I'll leave it to the host, Derek, to continue.
Yeah. Okay, so Serikins, thank you very much for that very informative and insightful session. I'm sure we really learned a lot because personally I learned a lot. I heard things like PEDMAS, I heard some things like variables, arithmetic operators, and the